I was running around the square looking for a homeless man in a red jacket. I asked every passerby. Then I got over my squeamishness and cautiously approached the curious individuals wandering around the trash garbage cans. The answer was the same. No one had seen the mysterious beggar. "Hi, my name is Patricia, and now my fate depends on a strange man that I was stupid enough to help. That day, I definitely woke up on the wrong side of the bed." Do you ever wake up and know right away that nothing good is going to happen today? Now I know for sure I should have stayed home. It didn't take long for the problem to show up. Spilled coffee, burnt eggs, shampoo that ran out at the wrong time. A cat that was obviously possessed by Satan. Took it easy, thinking happy thoughts, Blue Bentley, a date with Mike, Timothy Chalamet May. Finally, after an hour, I managed to pull myself together. Usually my friend Lisa and I met at a big mall halfway to the university, and then we walked together gossiping about outfits and YouTube videos. This morning was no exception, and when I arrived at the main entrance, my friend was already waiting for me. "Good morning!" Lisa's mood was enviable. "It depends." I tried to smile, but it didn't come out naturally. "Hey, smile, Patricia. The day is young." I nodded gratefully. We were about to leave when someone tugged my sleeve. "Hey, do you have a couple of pennies?" I turned around and immediately backed away. There was a homeless man standing next to us. His dirty jacket had once been red, but now it was stained and streaked. His pants had holes in them. His black, dirty fingernails and unwashed hair hanging down like icicles disgusted me. "Your laser burst out." My friend took a step back. "You're not my type either." The homeless man laughed, baring gapped teeth. "What do you want?" "So young and already hard of hearing. Do you have any money?" I said, I don't know why I didn't leave right away, but my hand was already fumbling around for a few coins in my sweatshirt pocket. Didn't they teach you the magic words as a child? Please, thank you, have a nice day? I tossed the coins into his outstretched, dirty palm. "Please, thank you, have a nice day." The homeless man laughed. Strangely, his insolence could have been charming if it weren't for his scruffy appearance. I wonder how he lived before he turned into this. And what happened to him? Lisa was already pulling my elbow. "Come on, he stinks," she whispered softly. "You're a boring Captain Hindsight, but you," the homeless man turned to me, "aren't a bad girl. You should eat more, you're too skinny. You got a good heart, though." He put his hand into the pocket of his once red jacket. "Here, take this." In his open palm, I saw a metal monkey figurine with red stones for eyes. It was pretty, but I wasn't going to take it. I didn't want to take anything from some unwashed, questionable man. "It'll bring you luck and hopefully a few dozen pounds because I'm sick of looking at it." "Thank you, but I shouldn't." I tried to be as polite as possible. "Come on, take it. Don't be shy. Just don't think about throwing it out. I won't like it." Lisa had said something in my ear about disease and germs. "No need. We have to go. Thank you." "Take it," he said. He was suddenly yelling at me. The homeless man's mood had changed from good-natured to aggressive so much that I grabbed the monkey from his dirty palm. And before I knew it, now it was time to get out of here fast. Lisa and I must have broken the Olympic walking record. That's how fast the mall and the red-jacketed figure were moving away from us. "I can't believe you took something from that bum." We were on our way to the university, and my friend still couldn't get her head around it. "Would you rather get hit over the head with a bottle? I could hardly catch my breath either." I took the monkey out of my pocket, threw it into the first trash can I saw, and rushed to disinfect my hands with antiseptic, praying that the gift wasn't really contagious. This was the beginning of the end. Lisa and I headed off to class. It was history, the subject that had always been the hardest for me to remember. I couldn't remember dates and names no matter how hard I tried, so I was nervous before each class. But today there was no reason to be nervous. I had excellent report and rehearsed several nights in a row. How I was going to read it out in front of the teacher and the other kids, that was a different story. The historian, Mr. Johnson, didn't seem to have a good morning either. The evidence was a big brown stain on his white shirt. "Mrs. Norwood, we look forward to your report." The teacher gestured for me to come to the blackboard. I smiled, reached into my bag for the printed report, and I felt my heart drop as if I was rushing in a high-speed elevator. The report wasn't in the bag. I left it at home on the bed. Miss Norwood? I was still staring into the bag as if a stack of papers might magically materialize in it. Well, I had to confess. Mr. Johnson, I'm sorry, but I forgot the report. Can I bring it to the next class? And before I even finished my sentence, I realized that the answer would be no. Something in the face of the professor, who was turning crimson in front of my eyes, told me that. I won't go into too much detail, but Mr. Johnson lashed out at me for everything. The bad weather, the spilled coffee, and the ruined shirt. He was yelling like crazy. After listening to what the big shot at the university thought of me, I slumped back in my chair and tried to blend in with it. Epic fail, I heard whisper to my left. Shut up. The profanity came out of my mouth instinctively. I turned towards the voice and froze. There was Mike to my left. His face twisted in shock. He was the guy I wanted to go out with for so long. We were obviously attracted to each other. Well, until now. Hey, take it easy. Mike was clearly disappointed in me. I was about to apologize, but a furious Mr. Johnson suddenly demanded that I leave the classroom and think about my behavior. What a day. As soon as I closed the door behind me, my cell phone started ringing in my bag. It was my mother. Strangely, she knows that I'm in class and never calls me at this time. I'm sorry I'm calling at a bad time, she babbled as soon as I accepted the call. But it's very urgent. Have you seen the blue file? It was on the desk in your father's office. I don't remember any file. What happened? An oppressive silence lingered on the phone. After almost a minute, my mother said, I lost a folder with all our documents. We can't go on our vacation. We have 3 days. No, not the vacation. We've been preparing for it all year. This was supposed to be our first family vacation in a very long time. Are you kidding? I wish, Patricia. I'm so sorry. I've looked all over the house, but the file is nowhere to be found. How do you lose a huge file? I really wanted to snap at my mom for the whole horrible day, but when I heard her sobbing on the phone, I pulled myself together. Okay, Mom, don't cry. So be it. That's life. Happiness is not only about vacations. Mom's voice became a bit more cheerful. Really? You're not mad? Of course not. I rushed down the hallway of the university like an animal in a cage. Who needs a vacation anyway? Okay, Mom, I'll call you back. Who needs it, really? Maybe an unhappy girl named Patricia who's been working her ass off all year, moonlighting after school and denying herself absolutely everything so she could finally go on this trip. I couldn't contain my emotions any longer, so I punched the first door I saw. Or rather, I definitely would have hit the door if it hadn't opened in that moment. What do you think the odds are that I was in a state of passion for all the doors in the huge hallway? You would choose the principal's door. And what are the odds at that very moment the principal decides to walk around with a cup of coffee in his hand? By the way, I'm not an expert in math either, so here's a math problem for you to solve. And please spare me the pleasure of describing the great scandal that erupted after Patricia Norwood punched the principal in the face. An hour later, my parents were sitting in the vice principal's office. The principal himself was taken away by ambulance. Of course, I could tell you it was a knockout punch, and after that I had a great career and fought Tyson Fury. But I'm not a good liar. The principal just had a bad fall. We have to expel Patricia from our university, the vice principal said in an irreconcilable tone of voice. My daughter is a model student, a very kind and understanding person. How could you think she did it on purpose? Mr. Norwood, the younger generation is the mystery behind the 7 C's. We will never know what's in their heads. One day it's a kind, compassionate person helping stray dogs, and the next day it's a bully who disrupts class and punches the principal in the face. And given the circumstances, we would recommend that you quietly withdraw your documents. Unless, of course, you want the publicity. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I was getting kicked out of the university. All my plans for my future were falling apart like a house of cards. What the hell kind of bad day is this? When I report my vacation with my parents, the university can have all the worst things happen to a person on the same day. Some kind of curse. I'm sure word of my prank had already spread throughout the institution. Now I'll be the laughingstock of the school, and while I'm picking up my papers, everyone will be pointing at me like a monkey at the zoo. It was like being thrown into cold water. The figurine the homeless man gave me, he told me not to throw it away. I will not like it. Miss Norwood, I think regarding your incident, insulting the vice principal. I didn't hear the rest of it. I stormed out of the office at the speed of a flash from comic books. Which trash can did I throw the damn monkey in? Maybe that one. I rushed from one garbage can to the next, but they were all empty. The janitor had already taken out the trash. I rushed outside to the big trash cans, but I realized the absurdity of my idea. I would never find the little figurine in so much trash, so I went to the mall. What happened next? You know, the search went nowhere. I sank down on a bench and cried. So much trouble had come my way in one day, and all because I don't listen to the homeless man and didn't keep his damn monkey. Now my whole life was going to fall apart, brick by brick, and all because of some evil sorcerer with an unwashed head and dirt under his fingernails. Why are you crying? The familiar voice in my ear made me twitch. I took my hands off my face and literally jumped right up. The homeless man was smiling, toothless, beside me. Justin Bieber got married. Don't whine, he'll get divorced. Out of anger, I grabbed the homeless man by the jacket and yelled so loudly that a flock of frightened pigeons flew up into the sky. What have you done? Your monkey ruined my life. What monkey? The beggar was taken aback by my impudence. The enchanted monkey you gave me, I threw it away. Make it stop ruining my life. Undo the spell. The homeless man struggled to unlock my fingers and move further away. Look, Skinny, I think only a psychiatrist can help you at this point. I don't even remember where this monkey came from. I found it somewhere. I sank back down on the bench in shock. So no one cursed me and everything that happened to me that day was just an unpleasant set of circumstances? I had to change universities, but I like the new one much more. And most importantly, I don't have to walk past this mall with a beggar and a red jacket. Have you ever had a bad day? Tell us about the most unpleasant one, and let's support each other. And don't forget to share my story with your friends. The screen of my smartwatch ruthlessly showed 11:11. The gadget delivered my verdict. Oh no, maybe the watches are off this time. And I ran out of the house hoping that something could still be done. But in the back of my mind, I knew that the watch was showing the correct time and nothing could be done about it. Hi, my name is Shelly. You won't believe it, but all my wishes come true. I don't have a magic lamp with a genie in it. I didn't sell my soul either. The devil has nothing to do with it, the shooting stars either. All I have to do in order for any wish of mine to come true is to say it at 11:11. The first strange coincidence happened about a month ago. I was sitting in the classroom waiting with my classmates for our law teacher, Mr. Waller, who was often late. He usually flew into the classroom like the frightened white rabbit from Alice in Wonderland, and after dropping his briefcase on the table, would immediately begin his lecture. He knew the rule, 15 minutes late and the lecture was canceled at 11. Ladies and gentlemen. The low and loud voice of our class president, Phil, distracted me from my conversation with Alexa, my friend from university. Mr. Rabbit has 7 more minutes, Phil. Alexa waved the class leader off. In that time, he had time to get a cappuccino at Starbucks, marry our principal, and get a divorce. The walls of the auditorium shook with laughter. The one who laughed the loudest, of course, was Phil. Well, maybe something will happen this time and he won't make it. Like what? A billboard with BTS on it will nail him right on the 5th Street? Well, it is an honor to get killed by BTS. I glanced at my smartwatch amidst another burst of laughter. 11:11. 4 more minutes and I was interrupted by Principal Nix, who briskly walked into the classroom. One of the students remembered Alexa's joke and giggled. Good afternoon. Mrs. Nix's face and voice expressed concern. Unfortunately, there will be no lecture on law today. Your teacher was in an accident. We all gasped in unison. What kind of stupid coincidence is that? What happened to him? I asked if he was okay. Luckily, he had only got a concussion. The woman took off her glasses and rubbed the bridge of her nose. A billboard fell on his car on the way here. I opened my mouth in surprise and turned to my friends, and she was equally shocked. but the other seemed oblivious to what I had just said a few minutes ago. Strange coincidence? Alexa looked at me warily as we left the classroom. A coincidence? No, more than that. I tried to console myself by saying that it was just a weird stroke of serendipity, but I soon realized that what was happening was anything but a coincidence. My parents and I had been planning a weekend together for a long time. Their demanding work schedules and my very busy university life dictated the terms, and we saw each other only in the morning at breakfast and only for 15 minutes. Not much at all. This Saturday, both my parents and I were completely free. After a good night's sleep, we gathered for breakfast and made plans for the day.
"Here's the plan," said Dad. "A walk around the city, a movie dinner, and go to the cafe. Maybe we can squeeze in a bit of shopping into this plan."
I smiled at him dazingly, knowing that it was a weapon that always worked.
No, I'm not falling for that again."
My father waved me off and turned to my mother.
"Do you remember how much a little shopping cost me last time?"
"About $1,000, Mom laughed.
"Exactly. No shopping until we have rich relatives."
"Why not?" I got it from the table and picked up the dirty dishes. Just imagine we get a call and are told that one of our distant relatives died and left us a huge inheritance. There's nothing wrong with dreaming. Mom patted me on the head.
"It's 11:11. Let's pack up and go."
Dad's cell phone rang and made the three of us roll our eyes irritably. "It's our day off, honey. Don't answer the phone," Mom asked Dad. "We said no work today, didn't we?" Dad nodded, but then he glanced at the phone screen and frowned.
"I'll have to take it. I don't think it's work."
After loading the dishes into the dishwasher, I went to my room to get ready to go out with my parents. As I was walking up the stairs, I heard my dad say to someone,
"What inheritance? I don't have any relatives in Congo. I don't understand."
At that moment, I forgot how to walk. I put my foot over the step and I missed. I rolled down the stairs and rushed back to the kitchen. Dad looked like a ghost. Pale, he was sitting at the table, his hand over his mouth, looking at my mother with eyes so huge as if she just admitted to him that she was Marlon Brando's extramarital daughter. That would be nice. I love The Godfather. "What?" Mom asked, putting her hand on his shoulder in a sympathetic manner. Dad took the phone away from his ear for a moment and then reported,
"Some distant relatives from Congo died and left me a few million as an inheritance."
You know what made this fact even funnier? That my dad has natural blonde hair and very fair skin. I guess the relative was a very distant coincidence. Again, I found that less and less believable. And there was that time, 11:11. I wasn't sure, but I think I said that billboard joke at 11:11 too. Or was it just wishful thinking? Was I dragging in facts that didn't exist? No, I remembered those numbers. Well, my parents were joyfully bouncing around the kitchen like 5-year-olds. I went up to my room. Clearly, the family outing was not happening. Oh my God, I think I can predict the future, or maybe I have the power to make my wishes come true? There's only one way to find out. I spent the next day on my own. My parents were too busy preparing the papers for the inheritance and the upcoming trip to Congo. I wandered through the mall in the morning, constantly glancing at my watch. It was only 10 minutes away from my goal time when I saw the Grace Boutique, the most expensive brand they had at the mall. Perfect place. At exactly 11:11, I closed my eyes and whispered, "I want to get all the clothes from the store completely free." The next second, I heard a hysterical scream. "To hell with you and your whole family, John. This is my store and I can do whatever I want." I opened my eyes and right in front of me was a beautifully dressed, gorgeous Greek goddess. Young woman was pushing a man with a mustache out of Grace. He didn't resist, Nicole. Let's talk calmly. People passing by stopped and stared at the scene with interest. "We have nothing to talk about. I know how you run my store. If I want, I'll give away all my clothes for free to the first person I see here." The woman suddenly grabbed my hand. "Come in and take everything you need. No need to pay." Did this just happen? I thought as I drove home in a cab filled with bags of clothes. I was recalling the plots of dozens of movies where the main character suddenly got the ability to grant all their wishes, and it ended up very badly for them. I have to be very careful and formulate each one correctly. On Monday, I went to the university. Alexa immediately noticed my new clothes.
Wow, is that from Grace? I saw that skirt there last week. Their price tags are like phone numbers. I was about to tell my friend about all the wonders I could do now, but I was distracted by Ian. I had a crush on this handsome, smart guy for a long time, so I could feel him coming a mile away like I had a radar in my head. He was walking down the hall with his friend's books in his hands and a wide, charming smile on his face. His perfection is too bad. He doesn't notice me. Wait a minute. Now I can fix this misfortune. I glanced at my watch, 10:30. At 11:11, I'll be in class. Well, I'd had to pop out for a second. Everything worked out in the best way possible. A few minutes before the sacred time, I asked to leave. I snuck into the corridor and carefully formulated my wish in my head. There could be no mistake. No one had to get hurt. At precisely 11:11, I said, "Ian Hyde loves me." That seems about right. No, but everything is clear. "Shelley?" A familiar voice sent shivers down my spine. I turned to see Ian walking down the hall towards me. He looked both embarrassed and excited at the same time. "Hey, I've been looking for you everywhere." He spoke softly, but his every word echoed down the empty hallway. I kept looking for a reason, but then I realized I could look for one forever. "Shelley, are you seeing someone?" Well, at this crucial moment, I was acting like a complete idiot. "Well, of course you are." The guy said that a girl that pretty can't be single. "I am single!" I literally yelled out, unable to control my vocal cords at all the excitement. Long story short, Ian and I started dating. I kept waiting for the catch because everything was going so well. I thought I was about to find out that my lover was a serial killer or a fool or a tyrant, and that he had 5 other girls in addition to me. But time passed and our relationship remained beautiful. I was always aware of my abilities, and every day close to 11 a.m., I carefully watched my speech, afraid to say the wrong thing. I tried not to use it too much. Only occasionally when my parents, Ian or Alexa, had a problem, I solved it by making a wish. Do you think my story is going to have a happy ending? I wish. One day before my first lecture, I couldn't get in touch with Ian. I couldn't figure out if he was coming to class. My boyfriend's phone had been off all morning. I'm worried that something has happened. However, very soon, Ian was found. I saw him when he entered the university building, smiling dazingly in the company of the main hottie, Emily. My heart stopped, my hands started shaking, and I walked confidently over to the couple. "I haven't been able to reach you all morning," I grumbled, pulling myself out of his grasp. "I'm sorry, my phone's broken. We'll go buy a new one today, okay?" Emily was watching the scene with a poorly concealed sneer. "But he loves me, or maybe he doesn't anymore." I kept catching my boyfriend with Emily, and they were chatting nicely, and it drove me crazy. Ian's attitude toward me hasn't changed at all, though. I could make this upstart leave town for the North Pole with a single phrase, but I kept it together. Until one unfortunate morning that Sunday, Ian and I were going to the movies. At 11 o'clock, my boyfriend called and explained that Emily's car had broken down and he was on his way to help her. "I'll be quick, love. There and back. I'm already on 5th Street," Ian promised. For the first time, I couldn't control my emotions. I dropped the call and explained from the bottom of my heart that I was going to hell. Immediately realizing what I had done, I looked at my smartwatch at 11:11. It can't be true. Panic seized me, and for the first few minutes, I just paced around the room trying to pull myself together. Then I dialed Ian, but he didn't answer my call. Still telling myself that my watch was wrong, I ran out of the house. Unfortunately, my wish had come true. Ian's car, together with all the others, had fallen into a huge hole that suddenly formed in the asphalt. My boyfriend was barely hurt, but the story frightened me so much that every day at 11:11 sharp, I stayed alone and spent that whole minute in total silence. Would this ability scare you? How would you use it? Write your answers in the comments, and don't forget to like this video. Hi everyone, my name is Cindy, and I want to tell you an odd story which happened to me recently. The thing is that once I took part in a book crossing and came across a strange book with incomprehensible instructions. I live in New York, and book crossing has been very popular here. For several years now, I've left books I read in the most unusual places. People took them away quickly and then put in new ones. Usually they attached notes or wrote small wishes on the fly leaves. This time I got a book with incomprehensible spells and rituals. It was some kind of mysticism. I didn't like reading something like that, but I noticed the message that was in it, and it was written in some strange symbols. At first, I thought it was some kind of dead language, but I read through the book and realized that the messages was composed of symbols that were described in it. Fortunately, there was a transcript on them on the last pages. It took me several days to translate everything. It turned out that the previous owner wanted me to send him an email marked deciphered. I typed the message enthusiastically, and when I sent it, I was so excited. I was curious who this person was and what he wanted, and the next day I received an answer from him. Do you think he told me anything? Nope. This stranger just greeted me and sent me a code of numbers. The antonym also added that if I cracked the code, I would move on to the next stage of the mini quest. To be honest, after such an answer, I wanted to quit right away and forget about the stranger and his riddles. I didn't want to waste a lot of time on all sorts of mysterious messages again. And then I thought, maybe this would lead me to some treasure or antiques. I was simply overwhelmed by these thoughts and began to look for the right book in the library to decipher the message. It's probably hard to believe, but I found nothing there. I didn't fall into despair and started looking for the right literature on the internet. However, this brought me no results either. There was a bookseller who had the only book that could help me, and it cost $200. It was very old and rare. By that time, I was so excited that I decided to buy it. I just had to figure out the message. When I got the book, it took me a couple of days to decipher the message, which he had sent me by email, but I ended up with just a jumble of letters. I thought that these letters were another riddle, so I tried to solve it. Unfortunately, I failed. I was so upset that I scrunched up that sheet, threw it away, and went for a walk all alone. But my walk ended in an unpleasant incident. The police came up to me and asked me to follow them. I was really scared. For some reason, I thought it had something to do with the code and the police were involved. But everything turned out to be much simpler. I was deeply immersed in my sad thoughts that I didn't notice I crossed the road against a red light. The police saw the violation of the rules and immediately rushed to detain me. I was lucky to get off with just a warning and a short lecture on traffic rules. But that wasn't my last adventure that day. When I got home, I saw new emails from the N&M. He asked me when I would send him an answer because a lot would depend on it, perhaps even a human life. At that moment, I got so scared that my hands started trembling. I imagined that this man held a poor hostage in his basement. Maybe my solutions could save them. I wrote him an answer that I got complete nonsense, and then I asked him not to harm anyone since I was ready to keep on deciphering the message. I started rummaging through the trash can right away to find my piece of paper and sent the jumble of letters that I got to the N&M. I got a reply from the stranger right away. He wrote that I had done everything right, but I had to put those letters into words. The solution was so simple, and when I realized how stupid I was, I wanted to punch my forehead with my palm. When I put all the letters together, I got the phrase, "good deeds," which I immediately sent by email. Fortunately, that was the correct answer. The NM congratulated me on the fact that the most difficult thing was behind me and that soon my quest would come to an end. He also added that an envelope with a small letter would be waiting for me outside the New York Public Library tomorrow morning. I began to look forward to tomorrow with great impatience. Excitement overwhelmed me, so I couldn't even fall asleep. As soon as it was 9 a.m., I ran to the library as fast as if a watchdog was chasing me. The antonym didn't specify where the envelope would be. I had to examine the stairs, even go inside the building and walk in there, examine everything outside. I surely looked like a crazy girl to onlookers. People were looking at me, and even someone decided to film a video. It was really hard, but I found the envelope that was hidden near the lion sculpture. I opened it and saw a blank sheet with only 4 symbols written on it. Was this a new riddle? I thought that it wasn't the only message there, so I started walking around the building again, looking for some clue. Unfortunately, I couldn't find anything. When I got home, I examined the envelope and the sheet of paper, but I found nothing. I got tired of thinking about it all the time and decided to have a snack. In the kitchen, my mother watched a series, and who would have thought that I would find the answer to the riddle in that? According to the plot, the main character received a message that was written in invisible ink. And then I realized that most likely the letter had been written with a pen with invisible ink. Why didn't I think about that right away? Sometimes I use exactly the same ink. When I flashed a torch that was attached to a pen, I saw a small text. It said that $1,000 was waiting for me near the pond. Then I realized that there was no hostage. The anime was just trying to make the quest more intense. On the way, I thought that this money would be enough for me to buy the purse I had dreamed of for so long. These thoughts gave me even more strength to reach the end of the quest. I managed to see a small cross on the ground near the pond. I started digging in the ground with my hands and came across a transparent bag with the money and another note. It said that our world really needed such responsible and attentive people because only they could change it. And on the back of the note, there was a question. Will you keep this money or donate it to a charity fund that helps people with rare diseases, thereby continuing the chain of good deeds? Send me your answer by email. I was shocked. To be honest, I didn't even understand what was the point of this whole quest. I went back home and wrote to the antonym asking what it all meant, and his answer amazed me. The anonymous guy introduced himself as Justin. He was one of the youngest and richest volunteers. For several years, he had been recruiting people not only on special sites or at meetings, but also through the book crossing. Justin believed that people who liked books were often very kind and responsible. He came up with the quest in order to find the strongest, the most attentive, and self-sacrificing people from different parts of the country for his team. At first, he didn't even hope that such a method would work. But in the end, the results amazed him. Almost all of the participants donated the money and became part of his volunteer team, and they were the ones who helped most with the ones in need. After reading this, I donated my money without hesitation. I liked the quest idea, although it was a bit weird, so I became a volunteer in Justin's team and continued the chain of good deeds that he had started. Justin asked me to leave the book with the mysterious symbols with which it all started near the Museum of Modern Art for the next participant in the book crossing. What would you do if you were me? Would you take the $1,000 or donate it? Give your answer in the comments, like the video, and share it with your friends.